Surgery is a very scary thing. You are literally putting your life into someone else's hands. And unfortunately, sometimes those hands aren't focused on the task. They're focused on doing some of this. And maybe even a little of this. And God forbid, Lord help us, sometimes even this. What I'm talking about today is the dancing doctor trend. It's kind of dwindled in popularity after some of the doctors participating in it lost their license because of it, which I think is justice served. And in fact, I think that's not far enough. I think if you are a doctor who is compromising the health of their patient because of this dancing trend that you did, you should probably face a little bit more than just the license being revoked. You literally put their life at risk for some clout. Like, that's not an exaggeration to say. Now, this was a bit of a viral trend for a little bit. It actually predates TikTok. It actually was before TikTok, where for some reason some doctors got it in their fucking noodle that this would be like a really quirky, fun marketing thing for their practice, and somehow didn't recognize that this would scare the shit out of people, because no one wants their doctor to be the zany goofball who's going to, fool around during very sensitive surgeries. Would stop to film TikTok videos of them dancing with like pieces of their patients in their hands and using it as props, or just generally dancing or filming skits while operating on a patient. Just imagine that nightmarish scenario. You're about to go unconscious from the anesthesia, and as your eyes are closing, you hear the TikTok 3-second countdown. And when it hits 0, you just go straight to Valhalla. It's such a terrifying thing to think about because surgery is so sensitive. You don't need me to sit here and tell you how dangerous surgery can be. Obviously, if you've developed object permanence, you can fucking recognize that surgery is something that is not to be taken lightly. It's not small potatoes by any means. So when you're going under for a procedure, you would pray that all of the doctors there are on your team, there for you 100% to, fix whatever the problem is or whatever's going on there. But in this trend, it was the exact opposite. It's like they waited for the patient to go to sleep and turned that fucking operating room into a nightclub. Hey, is the idiot asleep? Perfect. Drop the disco ball, bring in the dancing lobsters. Jill, hit it. Where are my boner jams? We're filming a TikTok. And it led to some problems. Now, the one I want to focus on today is a video that actually was very popular a few years ago and is making the rounds again because there is a follow-up to this story that I'd like to get into after showing it to you.
Latoya Arsheen was among the first to see video of Dr. Wendell Boutte making an incision and mugging for the camera while the rap song Cut It played.
I don't want to get DMCA'd, so I'm not letting the song play, but you know how the song goes. You need to cut it. Little acapella for you.
That's Arsheen on the table. Cut It is your song, girlfriend. You did awesome. The photo release form is signed only by a member of Boutte's staff. Where Arsheen was supposed to sign is blank.
I feel disrespected on a lot of levels.
The song's playing here again while they're dancing with a portion of her flesh. This is actual Ed Gein type shit. This is diabolical. That's like something a Dark Souls boss would do. Use flesh as some kind of instrument. That is so disturbing. Like, I don't know what they were expecting with this video when they posted it. Like, did they think this would become like the official music video for Cut It or something going forward? Or like, I don't know how they thought this was a good idea and how they wouldn't get in trouble for it. Like, this is not what you would want your doctors to be doing while you're under. Because then you have to start to question, well, what else did they do that wasn't filmed? Like, I woke up from the surgery and my butt was a little sore. I'm questioning a lot of things now. Like, what's going on? Like, this is only what they filmed. A far more horrible things also could have been happening off camera. And even what happened on camera is unacceptable. It's just so fucked.
Do you think that's your flesh?
I think it is, with the Cut It, the remaining of the song.
Former patients have now come forward with complaints. Arsheen plans legal action not just about the video, but about her results.
How does your body look now?
Disfigured.
So according to her, her body is disfigured as a result of the surgery, and from what I can tell, many other complaints say the same thing, that they had less than stellar results. As you would probably guess, if your doctor was more focused on making TikToks as opposed to the actual surgical procedure they were supposed to be focusing on. You'd probably have better luck getting your surgery done by some mysterious shady goober off the black market. You'd be risking your kidneys, but in a practice like this, you're risking your whole life here, because you might just die on the operating table because they were too busy focusing on hitting like a fat fucking Gangnam Style while you're under on the table. really dated myself on that one because I couldn't think of any of the new dance trends, but you get what I'm saying. Now, like I mentioned, a lot of these do predate TikTok. This one in particular, this happened in 2017 through 2018, and it was posted to YouTube and Instagram. But this trend did persist all the way into TikTok, and I'm sure some of you have seen more recent headlines about some dancing doctors on TikTok that have also faced some repercussions for that, luckily. But this one is, I think, the most shocking one because they are actually dancing around with pieces of the patient. So, the follow-up to this story is there was a lawsuit launched here, obviously, from former patients of this practice. There's numerous videos of Dr. Wendell Boutte here dancing as their patients are under, and as you've seen, even using them as, or parts of them, as props in the dancing. While she's operating, also dancing. The surgical assistants, everyone who even enters the room just gets hit with this fucking boogie virus and they just can't help but dance for the sake of these videos, all while they're supposed to be doing surgery. She faced numerous lawsuits, all of which I believe have resolved, and she's been ordered to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to the victims. She had her medical license suspended, but from what I can tell, it was only suspended for 2.5 years, which means she can legally practice medicine again in Georgia. I actually can't find a follow-up on that, but she wasn't permanently suspended, which I have to raise an eyebrow to. I don't know how this didn't become like a more criminal case where she'd face jail time. Like, I think it is super severe, especially when you look at some of these cases. So a patient named Silma Cornelius went into her practice, and she was only there for a couple of small things, but was eventually convinced to do bigger procedures, and eventually paid $11,284, and then also had another scheduled cosmetic procedure down the line. So she went back on February 18th of 2016 to return for that cosmetic procedure, and something went wrong. 8 hours into the surgery, after anesthesia was discontinued, and before her lower abdomen had been sutured, she went into cardiac arrest. Paramedics arrived at the scene, and it took 30 minutes to close up her abdomen, and they had to carry her down the stairs because there wasn't an elevator big enough to accommodate a stretcher. And by the time she arrived at the medical center, she was in severe distress, unresponsive, and unable to breathe without a ventilator, and suffered a severe and debilitating catastrophic brain injury, and left her reliant on a feeding tube and around-the-clock care. The quirky dancing doctor was legitimately ruining people's lives, disfiguring them permanently, and in this case, leaving a woman with permanent brain damage. Under no circumstances should she be allowed to practice again. It's not like this is just some kind of freak mistake that she made one time. She had dozens of videos doing this with many victims. Like, this isn't just some kind of whoopsie-daisy that someone makes, like, oh, how was I supposed to know that dancing during surgery and, parading around parts of the patients was a bad idea? Like, what do you mean? This is new information that nobody knew. Like, I couldn't have avoided this. This was truly inevitable. It's fucking ridiculous. I really think she got off very easy in this case. Yes, she was ordered to pay back hundreds of thousands of dollars to some of the victims, but she was also an extremely successful dermatologist. I don't think that hurt her very much. Like, she got off of this, in my opinion, very easy. Now, the anesthesiologist in that Cut It video you just saw also faced some legal problems as well, but he was actually cleared of malpractice last year. In that video I showed you with Cut It playing, Dr. Roland Pinkney was in there dancing as well. He was the anesthesiologist that day, and he was facing some legal issues here, but was ultimately deemed not liable in any way for what the victim had experienced. As a result of this, 100% of the fault was put once again on Wendell, and basically they were arguing that him dancing was not a breach of care. Like, the argument they made ultimately was that it was just him being less than professional, but him being unprofessional doesn't constitute breaching the medical standard of care that he needed to uphold. I have to firmly disagree here. I feel like anyone in that operating room should know that you shouldn't be filming fucking YouTube videos and TikTok dances while you are in the middle of a surgery. Now, in his defense, he was under the impression that the patient consented to having that kind of content made during the procedure. So it does get a little fishy there with exactly what he was aware of. That is a weird thing to consent to. I don't imagine there's many people out there that would be super happy to see themselves under the knife and having their doctors like dance around with their flesh. So that still seems a little odd to me, but ultimately he was found not in, in violation of that medical standard of care. It was no malpractice on his end was the verdict. But yeah, pretty fucked up situation that I just wanted to talk a little bit about because I dove into it pretty deep today. That's really about it. So yeah. I just saw a video of a master thief in action, pulling off what is undoubtedly the heist of the century. Experts are already calling it a real-life Ocean's 11 moment. It took place at a McDonald's, with DB Cooper here tweaking and twisting on a Ronald McDonald House charity donation box, and you can just see the surgical precision. This is not his first rodeo. He's in and out in 30 minutes, super speed like a lightning bolt. Luckily, the footage was captured on a phantom 1,000 frame per second camera, otherwise we'd only see his after image. It's currently unknown how much money he made off with, but it's no doubt a fortune. I imagine that it's probably close to $10 maybe, so this is one of the most impressive cases of larceny I've ever seen here. It was also captured on camera from 2 separate angles here, so we damn near have a 360-degree video that we can put together of this guy's absolutely embarrassing, degenerate scumbag behavior stealing from charity. So the employee is just standing there filming this whole thing, which is exactly what they should be doing. Intervening in something like this is very dangerous to the employees, so I know they're trained not to, and this should easily lead to identifying and arresting this man. I can see every goddamn fucking strained muscle in his face as he's cranking on this, so surely someone knows him and will report him. So Robin Hood here is stealing from those in need to give to the local crack dealer. For those of you that don't know, Ronald McDonald House is a charity that, from everything I understand about it, is actually a good one. What it does is it provides services to families of sick children that are having long hospital stays. So they have things like places for them to sleep, where they can just go and sleep for free while their children are undergoing treatment at specialized hospitals, so they don't have to like pay for hotels or anything like that. And from everything I know, they just provide a lot of really good services to families of sick children that are in the hospital. So to steal from something like that is unfathomably low. And sadly, it's not the only time this has happened. This guy here who looks like Meth incarnate is actually someone from my neck of the woods here in Tampa. And 3 years ago, he got nicknamed the Hamburglar. And what he did is he went on this rampage from Tampa to Wesley Chapel, going to McDonald's and stealing the Ronald McDonald House charity donation boxes. And it's assumed by authorities he made off with almost $4,000. There's so much footage of this piece of shit committing the crimes too. So he rolls up in his motorcycle and he always had this red jacket with him. It was like his magician's cape for his fucking vanishing act with the charity boxes. So everywhere he went to the McDonald's, he had this jacket with him. So here's footage of him going into a McDonald's. He makes a small order. I think he just got like a Coke or something, and not the Coke that he's used to. So he just did that so that way he'd have an excuse to sit at one of the tables, and he always sat next to the charity boxes. And he gets out his fucking bolt cutters here and just starts going to town. So he starts cutting away at it so that way he could free it. And you can just see in the camera footage here, there is almost no money in that. This was at the height of COVID when he was doing this, so there were even less donations in those boxes. Like, there is probably $5 or $6 there. He eventually cuts it enough where it's free. He throws on his backpack. He leans over to, I don't know, tap it on the ass or something. I actually don't know what he does right here, but he does one little maneuver there, gets up, he gets his red jacket out, and then here comes the big finale. He fiddles with his wiener a little bit there for some reason, maybe getting a semi-chub from all this adrenaline stealing from charity, and then bingo, bango, bongo, jacket over the box, and then he just lifts it off and walks out.
It's the place. This video is from yesterday in Wesley Chapel. It shows him making several trips to break the locks, holding the Ronald McDonald House charity box in place. Then he puts it under his jacket and walks out. Finally, he uses his motorcycle to pick it up and drive off. A few dollars richer, but a million reasons to be ashamed. Here's video of the time he stole from children who are sick in Zephyr Hills, May 26th.
That's how this disgusting fucking loser committed every single one of these crimes, with that trusty jacket by his side. So, what's crazy is, despite all of the footage that exists that clearly show this man's face, to date, I don't believe he's been caught. I was trying to find an update on it because the first video with the guy stealing the charity box reminded me of the Hamburglar here. And I looked into it and I couldn't find any updates on whether or not he'd actually been arrested. So I'm led to assume that he hasn't. Which is always so surprising to me when there's so much footage that exists of a criminal committing a crime and their face attached to it. I always just assume like, alright, dead to rights, your goose is cooked, Buster, take this, goober, they got you now. But in reality, that's just not how it works. It's not like these are blurry videos or anything. It's not like Sasquatch photos. Like, you can clearly see the guy's face. And in my head up here, like, when I marinate on it in my noodle, I'm always like, okay, so now they're going to easily be able to identify him. But in reality, that's just not how it works. It's not like the face is like an IP address where the second you see it, you immediately know everything about the person. But I guess the way I imagine it is if he has a criminal record, you could probably take the footage of his face and run it through some kind of facial recognition scanner through the database of the authorities and match it that way. But if he doesn't, if he's somehow squeaky clean, there's not a whole lot they could do with it, I guess. So I imagine in cases like this, you'd have to rely on people helping you identify them. Because when this came out, the authorities were making posts like on Facebook and stuff saying like, hey, we need help identifying this individual who's been stealing the Ronald McDonald House charity boxes. If you know anything, if you know him, please contact us to anonymously tip us off with who this is. And I guess there's just not many people that know this guy. I imagine his closest friends are the rats at the dumpster at the Walmart he passes out at every night after shooting up. So there probably just weren't a lot of people who recognized him. Thus, I guess he's been able to get away with it, unless there's an update I missed, but I went to like the third or fourth page of Google, which is, you know, that's fucking forsaken territory right there. That's a barren wasteland going that deep. And I was reading through a ton of articles looking for some kind of update on this guy, and I couldn't find it, so maybe I missed it. Or maybe he just really did get away with it, which is such a fucking shame. This dude's still out there on his motorcycle, cranking his hog after stealing all of that money from children and families in need. What a fucking scumbag. This guy and the first guy who stole the charity box absolutely deserve to be thrown in the slammer, obviously. And I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because I saw that video when a buddy of mine sent it and it immediately reminded me of this previous case. It's also clearly not desperate people in need of money that are stealing these charity boxes. Like, this guy was riding around on a fucking motorcycle, and from what I can tell, a pretty expensive motorcycle at that. So yeah, just terrible pieces of shit. That's really about it. So yeah. I've become addicted to the wacky stories Inside Edition covers, and I've got a spicy one for you that's fresh off the press. This bun is straight from the oven. It is brand spankin' new. It's about a Secret Service agent who allegedly breaks into a hair salon to use the bathroom, and then leaves everything unlocked with an alarm blaring, which summons 2 more authorities to go in there and just kind of hang out and take some mints before leaving. It is a baffling story, and I use the word allegedly here, even though there's security camera footage that show her going up to the door, putting tape over the camera, and then going into the facility. The only thing that's alleged at this point is whether or not she left a floater or just took a pee.
And controversy over what happened at a hair salon near a Kamala Harris event in Massachusetts. A Secret Service agent can be seen on surveillance video covering up the camera. Then EMS workers were spotted inside eating mints from the salon and reportedly using the bathroom. But the question is, did someone break in?
If you ask a tiny brain homunculus, the answer is a resounding yes. I feel like there's no other explanation here, because she is on camera grabbing a chair in order to boost herself up so she can tape over the security camera. Who does that if they have permission to use the facility to take a shit? That doesn't make any sense. And I couldn't help but giggle very hard when the other authorities show up and just start taking mints with the alarms blaring after the Secret Service agent busts in here. What else could possibly be the explanation for climbing up and covering the camera if she had permission? Oh, well, actually, she's a very shy pooper, and the frequency of the cameras interrupt her circadian rhythm, and it makes it hard for her to shit in public, so she did this in order to block all of the infrared 5G so she could, you know, take a dump in peace. Like, there's just nothing that makes sense. There's no explanation for why the Secret Service agent would climb and cover the camera if this was all by the book. Just a standard handshake agreement that you can go piss and shit in my toilet.
That's a Secret Service agent on the porch of a beauty salon. The agent was part of a detail assigned to protect Kamala Harris when she appeared at a fundraising event in Pittsfield, Massachusetts 2 weeks ago. The salon was closed for the day. Now look, 2 minutes later, the agent returns and pulls a chair over. Then she climbs on top, tears off some tape, and covers the lens.
The Secret Service as a whole has been in some boiling hot water recently. Their reputation is worse than chickenpox right now for obvious reasons, like the Trump assassination attempt. Then we had the former Secret Service director make an absolute fool of herself at the hearing, a complete embarrassment, which then led to her stepping down from her position because she overdosed on cringe. And now this. The hits just keep coming. Now that's what I call music volume 55. This shit is crazy. And I'm not even talking about what came out of her ass. So the Secret Service is trying to make the claim that they had permission to be there, or at least they were under the impression that they had permission to be there, which I'm just going to say is a bunch of barnacles. That's some fucking horseradish right there. Nobody would cover the camera if they weren't doing anything wrong. That doesn't make any sense.
The beauty salon owner says when she opened her shop later that day, the lock on the door appeared to have been picked.
And when she checked her interior surveillance camera, she found this shocking scene. The alarm going off and 2 uniformed women, one of them grabbing mints off the counter.
A source tells Inside Edition that the women were not Secret Service, but apparently were among local first responders working with the Secret Service team.
I love how the alarm is just blaring this entire time, and these 2 authorities show up, and you expect they'd be like trying to figure out what's going on, like who's the burglar, where are they at? You know, the Hamburglar just came in here and caused mayhem and left a whole number 2 in the toilet. We gotta find the culprit. But instead, what they're doing is just taking some mints. I guess they were under the impression that the alarm was the mint alarm that was welcoming them in to just grab some mints.
So, why did they enter the beauty shop? According to reports, to use the bathroom.
But even if they're not Secret Service agents, some are still blaming the embattled agency.
Secret Service agents broke in to that salon owner's place.
A Secret Service spokesman tells Inside Edition the agency has reached out to the beauty salon owner. Our personnel would not enter or instruct our partners to enter a business without the owner's permission.
Yes, of course. When I get permission to do something, I usually like to do it in the most suspicious fashion possible. So if I was invited to grab a necklace from a jewelry store in the display case, I would probably do that while wearing a ski mask and breaking the glass open with a big sledgehammer. What kind of fucking putrid drivel is coming out of their mouth with this? What do you mean? The lock was picked, she covered the camera, the alarm is blaring. How was there any semblance of an understanding that this was a completely normal interaction where they had permission to be there? That doesn't make sense. It's just a violation of this business owner's constitutional rights. This Secret Service agent didn't even need toilet paper in the bathroom because she was busy wiping her ass with the Constitution. This shit is so foul.
The president of the county ambulance service says the paramedics inside were using a bathroom they were told they could use by people in supposed authority.
How? The alarm is blaring. What did they think was going on there? A shardy party or something where everyone was just welcome to use the bathroom and the alarm was just to, get everyone's attention that, hey, this bathroom is available to just wreak havoc on? How could anyone get the impression that this bathroom is totally open while the alarm is blaring the entire time and the business owner and nobody is even there to be seen? How do you get that impression?
We spoke to former Secret Service agent Jim Rathman.
Entering, using the bathroom, eating the candy, that part is not something that is normal and should not have happened.
Obviously, it shouldn't have happened. I can't imagine it's standard protocol here. No one's expecting the Secret Service agents to be wearing a diaper that they'll soil themselves in where they don't get bathroom breaks or something and they just have to hold it forever. But they're expecting some level of decorum where they can feel safe knowing that the Secret Service isn't just going to pick their locks to use their toilet. You know what I mean? A spokesperson reiterated that the personnel wouldn't enter or instruct partners to enter without owner's permission. They believed they had it here. They then offered to pay for damages, cleaning, or the business's private alarm bill. The owner said they were happy with the apology and it brought a level of accountability. However, they said, when they cleaned up, they left the tape on my camera and they left my back door completely unlocked. What could have happened in that hour and a half or 2 hours that you guys left the building unlocked? Which is a really good point. Yeah, thanks for doing the bare minimum of taking some level of accountability, even though you're trying to weasel your way out of just admitting that a Secret Service agent had the grumbly tummy and needed to use a bathroom immediately, so they picked a lock and broke in. That, to me, seems like the most likely explanation for all this, but I'm no crackshot detective or anything. But even with you offering to pay for any damages that might have been incurred by the business, it still fails to account for how much worse this could have been. Since the lock was allegedly picked, and since there's still camera or tape on the camera, the salon was left without any defenses. Its force field was shut down from the inside here. It was just left completely open and accessible to anyone, as illustrated by 2 other authorities coming in and taking some mints. This could have been significantly worse for the salon here. It's just lucky no one decided to act while the camera was disabled and everything was unlocked. So yeah, just another Secret Service L here. That's really about it. So yeah. It's shameful to admit this, but it's the unfortunate truth that just by looking at me, you probably couldn't guess that I have been active in the gym for about a decade now. In fact, my college degree is in human science with a concentration in exercise physiology. But I'm on a 5'6" frame and I keep myself lean so no one even knows that I'm ripped until I do like a flex and it ends up being a jump scare. I keep hyping myself up in the mirror and telling myself that today's the day I finally start wearing tighter clothing so people stop asking if I even go to the gym because it hurts my soul every time. Or maybe I just need to be shirtless more often so that way it's pretty obvious. But regardless, the reason I'm even mentioning this is because I've noticed over the last maybe 6 months, not even that long, but like the last 6 to 8 months, the gym has gone from being a place of like working on yourself, gains, focusing on improving your overall health, to a place where people go to compete for viral TikTok videos of them being a victim. Usually the content revolves around them filming themselves working out and then catching somebody looking at them and being a creep and a weirdo staring at them. Staring's a word I'm using very loosely here. And then sometimes, God forbid, that person comes over and asks them a question in between their sets. Normal human interaction has become fucking outlawed in the world of TikTok for some people. Now, I'm not saying this isn't a real thing. I'm not saying everyone that goes to the gym is an angel that can do no wrong. There definitely are creepy people that go there. I've certainly seen my fair share of weirdos in my days. In fact, one that always lives in my head rent-free is 2 years ago. A security guard at a private gym kept going over and sniffing a woman's ass as she was doing rows. I can't show the video, I don't think, because it might be against YouTube's new terms, but here's just a quick screenshot of his 4th ass sniffing attempt where he's just like huffing her fumes. He eventually does get caught and fired for it. The point is, there are weird people at the gym, but what's going on right now is everyone is filming themselves at the gym, which I already think is kind of weird. There's also like this fucking perpetual surveillance here with people making fucking TikToks everywhere. But while filming, they're not catching weird people doing weird things or harassing them. They're catching very normal gym goers doing normal things and then publicly shaming them and embarrassing them for doing nothing wrong. Now I'm going to show you the biggest one that I really think started really blowing this trend up and led to me finding out how large this has become and how big of a problem it's become.
This is how to not approach girls at the gym.
I hate this. I hate when there's weirdos. It makes me so uncomfortable. Feral, like fucking feral.
You can immediately see a problem here. She's making a stare counter every time the guy even glances in her general direction. What do you expect people to do at the gym? Just turn around and stare at a wall when they're done with their set like it's the fucking Blair Witch? Like, what are you expecting? The guy is in between his sets, so he's just looking around. He's not even staring at her. Now, if he was staring at her, then I could see being a little uncomfortable if he's just over there like, fucking staring a hole through with like goddamn like laser beams almost firing out. Like, I'd get that being weird. But this guy is just like glancing near her, and he's still getting just attacked for it by her.
The 5 adds £5. And these are the rates.
Somehow the stare counter's at 5. I guess she's counting every time he's in between blinks now. And then she starts getting fearful because he's walking near her. and wondering, questioning, why would he be doing that? Kind of like it's a scene out of a horror movie, like the boogeyman's, you jingling keys trying to get in the door or something. But she immediately answers why he's walking over. It's because he's grabbing a sanitary wipe, showing good gym etiquette to go wipe down the machine he was just using.
Excuse me? You don't have to do that. It's okay. No, it's okay. I got it. Thank you, though.
Unfortunately, this guy made a big blunder here. He committed a cardinal sin. He tried to be helpful. So he offered to try and, help out here because it looked like she was struggling, which she even mentioned she was hesitant to put the weight on, so he probably interpreted that as like, oh, okay, maybe I could be helpful here. Just being a genuinely nice person, I believe. And she even responds positively to it and then turns around and says this kind of shit. What if I just ripped his pee-pee out of its socket so he could never reproduce again? Totally normal, not alarming thing to say. This is why I don't want kids. Natural selection better take the weirdos out. He's going to jail for staring at an underage 21-year-old. Where have we all gone wrong? What's happened to the world where that is a statement said earnestly? He's going to jail for staring at an underage 21-year-old. There's more to unpack there than a fucking 2-week vacation suitcase. I could unpack this shit for hours. He wasn't staring. There's no such thing as an underage 21-year-old. 21 years old? You're not a kid at all. You can legally butt-chug Budweiser now. Unless this is some kind of weird self-own kind of thing where she has the mentality of a child, thus this guy should go to jail for what she perceives as staring at her. I don't know. Like, I can't even, remotely figure out what she was even trying to say with that last statement. But anyway, I'm not going to keep going too deep on this one because everyone has already dunked on it. She's issued an apology about everything. But I want to give a quick shout out to Joey Swole. He's a very prominent figure in the community and he's been doing a lot of good work calling out these kind of videos. Now here's another stinky video here. So this guy gets called out because he walks across the track she's about to do lunges on and looks at her on the way by. Then she says that she catches him still staring. There's no way, I'm so uncomfortable right now. And then the caption even says, in quotes, "It's because of your outfit." I don't know if she's accusing him of saying that, like he shouts it at her across the room. "Excuse me, milady. I looked at you because of your outfit. You drew my eyes to you. It's your fault." Or if she's just saying that as like a way of calling out behavior. I'm really not sure. But Joey Swole, when he talked about this video, pointed out something that I think everyone who's ever been to the gym will recognize. That not only is the guy not staring, again, the reason why he'd look at her while walking by is because he's going by her path on the track. So perhaps he was looking at her to make sure he wasn't getting in her way since she was about to start lunges. I feel like that's the most obvious explanation here, but regardless, he doesn't do anything creepy or weird. He looks at her while he's walking by, and once he's through, he continues going forward. Like, I don't understand where this is coming from. To me, it feels like this lady has recorded every single one of her gym sessions for the last week or so after noticing that this kind of content was blowing up, praying that someone would be weird and creepy to her, but she didn't get that. So she just decided to go with the one that's almost somewhat different, where a guy looks at her when he walks by, and chose that one for some clicks. Because nothing bad happens here. There's not a weirdo here. And according to Joey Swole, a lot of members of the gym, both men and women, said that this man is very kind and is actually loved at the gym. He's a regular here. So it is pretty fucked up and shitty for her to make this video trying to shame him for doing nothing wrong.
This guy.
Just filming my progress here. What? Just filming my progress. Oh. I understand.
This isn't a trend that only women are doing, men are doing the same thing. This fucking douchebag is filming in the locker room, flexing to show his progress. The guy in the back that he's calling a schmuck is 100% right. You cannot be filming in the fucking locker room. Like, what do you think this is? Brazzers? Like, what the fuck are you even thinking? What's going through your smooth brain? Everyone just loves to think that they're the main character, and everyone that interferes in their story and does more than just be a prop for their TikTok videos is the villain, when that's just not the reality. You are the bad guy here, not the guy you're calling out. If you want to take progress photos and videos, which I totally understand, just wait till you get home, or at the absolute least, wait until you're the only person in that locker room. Because right now you have two people behind you changing. They could have just gone whole hog, let their cock and balls flop out, and if you film them in a private setting without their consent, their nudity, you would be fucked legally.
Watch this guy try move to me at the gym. Checks absolutely nothing on his phone. Looks over at me being busy sorting my wrist straps. These fucking straps taking up too much time.
I don't know what constitutes a stare anymore. Like, this guy, again, just glances in her direction, briefly looks at his phone and puts it away, and apparently that's getting called out for being weird, saying he checks nothing on his phone. He could have just been checking the time. He could have been checking literally anything that's quick to get at a glance, like, what time is it? Or if he had a timer set up for, like, how much rest he has between sets, how much time do I have left on my rest? Like, there's so many things he could have been checking on his phone, but it doesn't matter. Like, he didn't do anything weird or wrong right now. All he did was walk by, and he looked over near you.
Makes a swift return. Sad lip.
And there it is. The second he decided to ask a question, his fate was sealed. He was getting shamed on TikTok for it. So, he comes over and asks if she's using the machine behind her. As Joey Swole also points out, and as anyone that ever goes to the gym will also point out, people like to check to make sure the machines are vacant. They don't want to step on any toes and take a machine that's already being occupied, so maybe her things were near the machine and he wanted to double check to make sure she wasn't using it in addition to doing the RDLs. Like, that is just being polite. That is normal gym etiquette. But let's assume this guy is new to the gym. She seems to think he is and is insulting him for it, making fun of him for not knowing the name of the machine. So don't you think someone that's a little new to the gym would like to be super certain that he's not getting in anyone's way? So he would like to ask someone that's near the machine to make sure that he has full reign to use it without intruding on their workout. He did nothing wrong, but it didn't matter. He made a slight glance near her, a split second of his eyes looking around before checking his phone, and that small, insignificant thing was enough to put a crosshair on him and for her to attack. I think she's the weirdo. You're the gym weirdo, filming everyone around you, looking for people to call out. That shit is creepy. Not this guy who just innocently asks if you are using the machine behind you. Totally normal question, totally normal interaction, and this behavior is getting so fucking out of control. People are turning gyms into war zones where they're looking at every single micro angle of your eyes and counting it as a stare if you happen to catch them somewhere in your general vision vicinity. It's fucking despicable. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this a little bit, and that's about it. So yeah. Obsession is a powerful, scary force that can lead previously sane people to do insane things, to commit unspeakable acts. The act I want to talk about today from an obsessed individual is not unspeakable. In fact, I really want to speak about it, though it is heinous. It is extremely weird, and I can't help but discuss this with all of you. Like I mentioned, obsession is a horrible thing. When it comes to an obsession, it's a lot like playing a game of suck a fart out of Charlie's butt. There are no winners. And that couldn't be more true than with this story here. So there is a hardcore band named Llorona, and yesterday they posted an announcement letting the fans know that an integral member of the band was kicked out because they hatched a nefarious scheme to steal one of the other members' fiancés. And the way that they did this was by secretly lacing their pre-workout with estrogen with the goal of making that bandmate seem less manly in comparison to him. Thus, the fiancé would be more attracted to him, the more masculine guy, and leave her fiancé for him. It's a mind-boggling plan. And at first I thought it was fake. So I actually learned about it on stream last night, and then I waited till today to see if there was like, you know, a reveal that it was all just a joke, a ruse, and it got debunked today. But that hasn't been the case. In fact, there's been more evidence here from Yorona's Instagram story, apparently. I saw these screenshots floating around. There's also been a lot of articles that have been written about this that I believe are saying it's all real, at least based on what they've been able to gather. So these screenshots... I'm sorry, guys, the Rigid project is over due to me saying some uncomfortable and disrespectful things to Six and Caroline, such as giving Six estrogen and being obsessed with Caroline and hating Six while I was drunk. I've been kicked out of Yorona as well and will no longer be in the scene. This appears to be some kind of group chat where he admitted all of this in, and I don't know who Zach is there, but he seems like a menace. I can't tell if this is sarcastic or not, but he says, "Damn son, blank scene sucks. Nashville welcomes you with open arms." So I don't know if he just views this as not a big deal. He's like, oh, what a bunch of hooey. They suck over there anyway. Coming over to Nashville, we don't care about you lacing pre-workout with estrogen. You can drug us all the time. Who gives a fuck? Bring that talent to Nashville ASAP, mister. Get on over here. So I'm guessing maybe he's going to relocate to Nashville and probably go from lacing shit with estrogen to lacing it with fentanyl. But there's another bit of information there at the bottom right. I was really drunk and told Six and his fiance that I was obsessed with her and had a deep hatred for Six and gave Six estrogen to get an edge up on him. So it seems like this is a real situation that happened, and it'd be an odd thing to joke about considering Yorona is no longer a band at the moment because this was their vocalist. Now they need to find somebody else. Now I'll go ahead and play the stream clips where I go over their official statement and learn about it in real time because, man, this is a fucking crazy situation, for sure. Did you hear about that guy who got kicked from his band because he was lacing someone's pre-workout with estrogen so he could steal his girl by looking more manly? That's Galaxy Brain. How can I find that? Who is it? What a supervillain scheme. There's no way I'm gonna find that by typing in. Who was it? Lorna Shore? No. Wait, no. It was one of the Lorna Shore band members? Nuh-uh. I don't believe that. Yeah, no, nothing came up for that. So who was it? Was that recent? I don't know, this man just dropped like a fucking fire little wisdom nugget there and then left. Who was it? Tell me the name of the guy, I want to see it. That sounds amazing. This guy's an estrogenius. True, man, this guy's got the fucking, the hookup here. The plug for great stories. It's all over the r/hardcore subreddit. Okay. Well, it should be super easy to just tell me who it is then. Why am I going on a scavenger hunt? Just fucking tell me. But fine. I'll go on the hardcore subreddit. The #1 post on r/hardcore is trying to teach my son how to brush his teeth. What the fuck? What the fuck? That is absolutely not it. I'm on a wild goose chase. Alright, now I'm super curious. Why is this here in the hardcore subreddit? Why is it? Why is this here? You gotta make sure you brush all your teeth in your mouth from front to the back and side to the fucking side. Open this shit up, let's go. I got it, okay. They're called Yorona. Oh, okay. I thought he put Lorna. So the band is called Yorona. The war on gingivitis is hardcore. So true, brother. So true. Just search Yorona HC on HC Instagram on Google. We have decided to part ways with our vocalist Diego due to admission of very disturbing and concerning behavior towards one of our band members and their partner. He has admitted to being obsessed with said partner and has been attempting to sabotage their relationship by cutting pre-workout he frequently gives from his job with high amounts of estrogen in them. He has been attempting to force a transition onto him for the last 5 months in hopes that it would give him the opportunity to swoop in once he looked stronger and more manly in comparison. This stupid caveman mindset makes zero sense. This tampering has caused confusion and thousands of dollars in medical bills the past month trying to figure out what's wrong. We would not know any of this unless Diego had gotten way too intoxicated and outed himself and stated an admission to all of this via text. There's many more disgusting details that have been left out for the sake of privacy and general censorship. What a fucking plan. Wow. Lacing his pre-workout with estrogen. Well, he's no longer in the band, so Yorona fans, we got bad news for you. I've got to say, that is creative. Another thing that could have been an option if he wanted to put the work in would be just going to the gym and working out harder to look more manly than the other guy, if that was the goal. Actual Disney supervillain, yeah, pretty much. Another option is just to find a single woman. No, you're off your gourd, brother. Find a different girl? No, that doesn't make sense. That just does not make sense. It's fucked up messing with someone's hormones. It can be deadly too. Yeah, I'm curious how much estrogen he was pumping in that pre-workout. Was there any effect? I don't know. They didn't say. So I don't know how effective the estrogen lacing was. They did not say. I'm assuming it wasn't like super noticeable changes or anything. I don't think it was like a crazy like shift or anything, since they didn't know until he admitted it, right? High estrogen can cause you to grow boobies pretty quick. You know, I'm gonna look it up. How long does it take to get some honkers cooking? How long did that go on for? What did they say? 5 months? 6 months? Would that be enough time for him to get a rack from it? How long does estrogen take to develop breasts? The Clinical Practice Guideline of Endocrine Society indicates that breast development starts 3 to 6 months after start of cross-sex hormone therapy. So he very realistically could have started getting some boobies in development there. Wow. He was probably like really confused, like, damn, I've been hitting chest so hard I'm getting tits. Fuck. These weighted dips are really doing a number on me. That's fast, though. I wouldn't have expected it to be that quick. And I guess it also depends on how much estrogen he was putting in there, too, because it seems like there's different ranges. So that man might be in a push-up bra right now and had no clue why. Thinking maybe he was eating too much edamame or something from the soy. I have no idea. A diabolical plan, though. Very creative. Oh yeah, I did know that actually. I forgot about that. Although the male body needs estrogen to function properly, high estrogen levels can cause health problems such as gynecomastia, erectile dysfunction, or infertility. The gynecomastia is a really interesting one. I talked about that not too long ago. You can actually lactate, which is wild. Man, imagine he goes to the gym, he's just fucking pumping and starts squirting. Like, he's like, oh my god. What are they putting in these protein shakes? Why did this happen? Because he wanted to steal his girl. So his plan was to get him all hopped up on estrogen and take his girl. Today I went on a bit of a journey. I had a 2-hour road trip ahead of me, which for pretty much every sensible human being doesn't sound like a lot. But for a little troglodyte goblin like me who very rarely leaves his hidey hole here, and I never really venture past the immediate Tampa area, this was like the Oregon Trail for me. 2 hours may as well have been like a full-blown expedition here, like complete with rations and everything. And at the beginning of that 2-hour trip, I saw this video floating around on Twitter about a streamer having an argument with his girlfriend over something really confusingly silly. Even when we got to our destination and finished our task, completed the quest, and drove back, I still had it like in the back of my noodle here, just kind of jumbling around in my noggin because it's so baffling that this argument ever even happened in the first place. Like, if this was written into a movie's plot, I'd say that's AI-generated gobbledygook because no one would ever argue about something so stupid.
Hey guys, it's Riley. Oh my god.
Riley never told me about this, bro. She never told me about this. This is news to me right now.
It's Riley.
I'm doing a little talk show.
Damn, she hiding stuff from me? Bro, she never told me about this. I'm surprised. I'm like, what the fuck? I never heard about it. I thought she would tell me something like this.
But why, though? It's a totally innocent YouTube video she made 10 years ago with her friends in high school. It's not like he just stumbled across something important. It's not like he learned some life-ruining information about his significant other here where he found out that her secret identity is Jack the Ripper and she's some kind of serial killer. It's not like he even stumbled across something like she is a former adult film star that she hid from him. Like, he found her hidden OnlyFans where she was casting forbidden jutsu with her butthole for $5 on OnlyFans or whatever. It was nothing like that. It's literally just like a single YouTube video she made with her friends in high school that was seen by like 300 people. I think it had like 300 views, but I imagine a lot of that came from his community going over to it. Realistically, it was probably seen by only like 2 or 3 people in the immediate friend circle of that group, and then left to die, just buried in the YouTube dusty library of videos that never ever see the light of day again. But somehow, someone in chat, like an archaeologist, cleaned off this fossil and submitted it to him as like a, brother, look at this. Did you know she made a YouTube video 10 years ago? And he seems so disturbed by it. And the chat starts enabling this insecurity saying, damn, she's hiding things from you. Like, what do you mean? This is like the most innocent YouTube video ever. We're in a day and age where pretty much everyone you interact with on a daily basis has a digital footprint. Everyone is filming themselves in every aspect of their life all the time and uploading it. It'd be more uncommon to find someone that's just off the grid and has no Instagram videos or YouTube videos, TikTok videos, something like that in their past.
She was on a YouTube video? She never told me this? I'm finna crash out. This is wild. Yeah, bro, she never told me this. Yeah, how are you not gonna tell me you did? Oh, so convenient. You're on speaker. You're on speaker now, by the way. But that's weird. That's weird that you never told me this.
I literally forgot about that. I don't know how they found that. I totally forgot about that.
It's more weird that you would want to know that. It's totally understandable that you would forget filming a single YouTube video, or even a couple of YouTube videos 10 fucking years ago if it never took off. Like, what do you mean? This isn't some kind of like, oh my god, I'm dating a lying harpy. I'm dating a charlatan. Like, this is, like, the YouTube video is legitimately a nothing burger, and he's blowing this way out of proportion. He calls her up like it's some kind of emergency, like, I saw what you were trying to hide from me. You filmed a YouTube video 10 years ago with your friends, didn't you? You had your own little podcast at one point, huh? Oh, I can't. I've never been so hurt in my life. How could you have lied to me and kept this information a secret? Like, this is something you would forget about, like 100%. I don't understand, like, how this could even be an issue. That just feels like complete insecurity, or maybe like this desire for him to know, like, every single aspect of everything she's ever done. I don't really know. That's why I'm saying I can't really wrap my head around how this could even become an issue. This would be one of those things like, if a chatter linked it, it'd be more concerning how they found it, A, and B, it'd be like, oh, that's interesting. Haha, I mean, what a goofy little find. Like, it's not a big deal, no matter how you spin it. And yet, somehow, he found a way to make it a big deal.
Interesting. I'm surprised you didn't tell me this. What do you mean, thanks? I'm surprised you never told me this. This is crazy. I gotta find this out from the chat.
This is really embarrassing. Thanks.
It's embarrassing for her, not me.
Why would that be embarrassing for you? What kind of delusional fantasy land are you getting bullied in? What do you mean? Like, who's gonna start shooting spitballs at you and throwing tomatoes? Boo! This guy stinks! 10 years ago, his girlfriend filmed a YouTube video once. Like, I don't understand. Oh, God, look, jeepers creepers, guys. I can't eat. I can't sleep. My girlfriend made a YouTube video 10 years ago. Yeah, so anyway, I broke up with her.
I didn't explain myself, which is really fucking annoying.
Why wouldn't you tell me about that?
First of all, I totally forgot about that. You could
That's
look
convenient.
It was so long ago. We never made it a serious thing. We filmed like 2 things.
We started 10 Talks together, and we like talked about being
I
on a
forgot
podcast,
about
and you were
it.
like, I've never
And that wasn't a
never done
podcast.
anything like this before.
That wasn't
so
a
it's like people are
podcast.
saying like, oh, Yuri, why are you making a big deal? What's a big deal is it feels like I've been lied to. That's what it feels like.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
How is that in any way construed as her lying to you? About what? Do you also need her high school report card so you can check each individual grade in every subject? Like, if it turns out she flunked out of chemistry in her sophomore year of high school, are you going to say that she's a liar for not telling you that she's bad at chemistry or something? Like, what? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. It's entirely reasonable that she would have forgot about this, given it was 10 years ago, basically. And according to her, they only filmed like 2 videos, and it wasn't even like a podcast or anything. They just like talked at a camera, it seems, about nothing, really. Like, I tried so hard to figure out what there is to even be hurt by in this situation here, or what like you could feel betrayed by, and I just don't get it. He tries to say like they filmed something together and she said it was her first time doing a podcast, which seems to be a truthful statement regardless of this unearthed YouTube video, because this was just her friends sitting down talking about nothing. And it's very understandable that that's something that would have 100% slipped their mind, since they never made a series out of it. They never did anything with it past like 1 or 2 videos 10 years ago, a decade ago.
I wasn't lying to you. I genuinely forgot about it because it was never a serious thing.
I don't even know who those people are.
That's my friend Karina.
Cool.
And that's my friend Dalton, my gay friend Dalton. You could clearly see
yeah, obviously, but I'm glad I'm learning this through someone in the chat 4 years later into our relationship.
I don't even know how they fucking found that. I didn't even know that was out there.
So you're relying on the fact that I would not find that out.
How am I lying?
No, I'm saying you're relying on the fact that I would not find it out.
Why is it a big deal?
It's not, but
stupid video.
But you're like, oh, I can't believe you found that out. You should have never seen that.
When did I ever say that?
Yeah, now he's really reaching deep into his asshole to pull things out to be upset about. He's fighting ghosts. He's having an argument with an imaginary enemy in his own mind here. Like, it's not like she was relying on the fact that you'd never find this. This is something that she would never be thinking about in the first place, because it is absolutely just not a big deal. And the fact that you did see it is not a big deal either. Like, at all. I don't know why he starts, like, questioning her, like, I don't even know who those people are. It's like, well, yeah, you probably don't. It was 10 years ago, and I'm guessing they're not friends 10 years after high school, right? Like, it's just not that deep. Like, it's not hiding something from you. It's just, like, who cares about it? Like, why is that something she'd ever think to bring up? Like, sitting you down, listen, we need to have a serious talk. I made a YouTube video 10 years ago. No, there was nothing, like, bad about it. We just actually talked about nothing, but I needed you to know. I filmed a YouTube video once. Like, what's the conversation even supposed to look like there? It's it's a profound nothing sandwich here. There is nothing to be upset about. And yet he is still going on and on about it. I won't show you too much more. I'll just go ahead and show you how it ends, where he just decides to end stream in a bad mood about it, mad at her.
I don't understand how, like, you like just don't remember, like, oh yeah, we did this thing before.
I'm not thinking
it's not
about
it's
it,
not it's not like,
it wasn't a series. I was never on a podcast. I was never doing YouTube like that. I made a video before on YouTube.
Bruh. I'm just gonna stream, guys.
That's so stupid.
Everyone have a good night. Peace.
No.
She's absolutely right. That is so stupid. I couldn't believe the argument that I had listened to here, so I just had to talk about it. That's really about it. So yeah. I remember growing up, there was always a bit of a panic every Halloween about the safety of the candy you get while trick-or-treating, with things like razor blades and apples, that legend that was floating around a lot back then, and then also the contamination potential of someone sneaking drugs into your Hershey's bar. There was this fear that would circulate that some scoundrels might lace the Three Musketeers bars with crack, weed, amphetamine, a chimera cocktail drug of everything naughty. And, you'll have my mom come down shaking me like, Charles, be careful of the candy tonight. Take this testing kit with you. If it turns blue, call your uncle so he can come smoke it. Like, there was just this bit of fear that maybe the candy wasn't safe because of drugs or something that was being put into it. And most people, as they got older, they started to recognize how unlikely that was, because drugs are expensive, and it's not very common for someone to just give out a bunch of drugs for free. That just makes them lose a ton of money. Like, I'm sure there are some cases where it's happened, and I do remember a few very weird ones over the years, but in those cases that I can recall, it was like drug-laced candy that was meant to be sold to buyers, like, inconspicuously. It wasn't meant to just be given out willy-nilly, loosey-goosey on Halloween or something like that. However, what just happened in New Zealand has reopened an old wound here from when I was a kid about, like, being afraid that there might be drugs in candy. Because a New Zealand charity gave out lollipops that were laced with methamphetamine. And not just, like, little tiddlywinks of meth that were found in the lollipop. We're talking a fucking wumbo-sized amount of meth, potentially lethal. 3 people sought medical attention, and it seems like they're going to be okay, at least as we've been told right now. But potentially hundreds of people were exposed to this from this New Zealand charity giving them away. Now, of course, they didn't do it on purpose. This wasn't by design. They weren't sitting there doing this about their plan coming together to introduce meth to a few hundred people.
Importantly, the mission only accepts commercially manufactured food for inclusion in our food parcels, and the lollies appeared as such when they were donated.
As she just explained, the candy that they received was made to look like a real commercial brand. It wasn't some like knockoff or bootleg that was made in the back of a Ford Fiesta or anything. It was individually wrapped pineapple flavored boiled sweets that were made to look like it came from the Malaysian confectionery brand Rinda. Spoiler alert, they weren't actually pineapple flavored boiled sweets from Rinda. They were donated by a member of the public, and they weren't even candy at all. They were small blocks of meth, each weighing about 3 grams and packing up to 300 doses, which is potentially lethal. The charity explains that they only accept commercially manufactured goods because it's probably dangerous to just be taking in someone's home recipe. You know, maybe it wasn't prepared properly and it makes someone sick, then all of a sudden you've got a big problem on your hand. So they only accept commercially manufactured goods. And in this case, that's what they thought they were getting, but it was actually just a ruse. It was disguised to look like that, but it was actually just meth. Now, when I was initially learning about this story, I started scratching my head wondering, why would they even be taking in individual pieces of candy? Like, that seems kind of dangerous in and of itself, because even if the candy's not laced with lethal amounts of meth, that candy could still be all kinds of fucked. Just imagine some goober's walking down the sidewalk and he sees like a Jolly Rancher tucked away in the dirt next to some crops that he was spraying with pesticides, and he goes, "Oh, Jolly Rancher. Well, I'm not really hungry right now, but I'm sure someone would like to eat this, so I'll go ahead and donate it." Like, that's still probably gonna get someone sick, right? Like, it's not like well taken care of food, so taking in like individual pieces of food seems like it'd be suboptimal. However, that's not what the charity does. This candy came to them in a sealed bag that looked like it came directly from the commercial manufacturer. They had no reason to suspect it had been tampered with at all because it was fresh out of the package. It's just not something you'd think of. There was nothing suspicious about it. It was a sealed retail package. So they didn't think to test it or anything.
Early yesterday afternoon, we received an alert of concern by a food parcel recipient who said that they had tried funny tasting lollies and wanted to let us know. They took the lollies still on site to the New Zealand Drug Foundation, whom we have a very good and close working relationship with. Tests confirmed immediately that the lollies contained, and this is very important, potentially lethal levels of methamphetamine.
From the sound of things, this could have been a lot worse if someone concerned after eating it didn't contact them. That person just may have saved lives by informing the charity that this lollipop that they had received, or no, it's not a lollipop. New Zealand slang is always so interesting to me because a sweet they just call a lolly. So it's not a lollipop, it's just like a little piece of candy. So they had this piece of candy and it was funky, right? You know, there was something fishy there. So they reported it to the charity, who then investigated and concluded that this shit's fucked. We gotta get this off the shelves ASAP.
To the best of information that we have at the moment, that is a group of people that is somewhere between 300 to 400 people that we began contacting last night.
It is a lot of people exposed to potentially lethal amounts of meth. Now, from the reports I've read here, it seems like since it was just chunks of meth, most people wouldn't just muscle through the whole thing. They wouldn't just eat the candy and be like, "Oh, this tastes like shit, but I'm gonna finish it." You know, they wouldn't take it like a challenge run in Elden Ring or something that they just pushed through. So from what I've read of the reports, most people who were exposed to the candy spit it out immediately. But because the dosage of meth was so high, even that like split second it spent in their mouth opened them up to a lot of symptoms. And 3 people had symptoms that were so bad they sought out medical attention, and luckily they've all been discharged now. I imagine there's more of this contaminated candy out there. It's just a matter of tracking it down, which the authorities are doing right now. They're trying to locate all of these pieces of candy, and it's very reminiscent of what happened here in the States with the Tylenol murders, if any of you remember that. I imagine most of you remember that because we still feel the effects of that today. It's the reason why food safety is taken so seriously. So when those douchebags on TikTok used to go around licking ice cream, they got slapped. Like, it's a very serious thing, food contamination. A long time ago, there was contaminated Tylenol that was just cyanide, and some people who took a Tylenol died because it was cyanide. And it led to a huge overhaul of the safety precautions taken around the industry. And I really get a similar vibe to this story here from New Zealand. So this food bank gets this contaminated candy and they start distributing it to a lot of people. That opens up a lot of people to potentially dying from meth. Now in the Tylenol murders case, it was someone, or even a couple of people potentially, that deliberately went around switching Tylenol capsules with cyanide and putting them back on the shelf. They were deliberately trying to kill people with it. And I really think in this case as well, this isn't something that happens by accident. This amount of candy with this amount of meth, this doesn't seem like something that could just go awry, you know, like, oh, oops-a-daisy, I meant to donate the real candy, not my blocks of pure fucking methamphetamine. I had it right next to my blocks of uranium and I was just getting really confused and I just sent the wrong thing. This seems like someone that was trying to hurt people, in my opinion.
In terms of our concern at the moment, we are concerned that there are more of these substances out there. We note that disguising substances as something else to smuggle it into another area is common internationally. So we are not sure at this stage whether that is just contained within the city mission or whether people outside of this have these lollies as well.
That is absolutely something to consider as well, that maybe this wasn't deliberately put out there to hurt people. This could be people that were trying to smuggle drugs into the country and it ended up at the food bank. Because it is common when people are smuggling drugs in that they put them in all kinds of different, you know, packaging and they change the look of them. They get very creative when it comes to smuggling drugs, even outside of just like the prison wallet with them like sticking coke up their butthole and all of that, like deep in their colon. They'll have like drugs that are put into like hairbrushes and made to look like the actual bristles. Like there's all kinds of like really creative things people do when it comes to smuggling drugs. So maybe these candies were just meant to get the meth into the country and was never meant to just be distributed to hundreds of people. Because again, that is like, it's a huge amount of money they lost doing that. But the reason that I feel like it was probably deliberate is because it'd be really hard to somehow get those drugs into the country in this disguise and then forget about it and donate them. That just doesn't, to me, that just doesn't compute. Like, I feel like if they went through the effort of individually wrapping all of this meth to look like this commercially manufactured candy, why would they then donate it? Like, how would they misplace it or get it confused and start donating it? You know what I mean? And right now authorities are investigating to see whether or not it was donated to the food bank on purpose or by accident, if it was intentionally sent there or if it just wound up there by pure chance, just happenstance, and then ended up getting donated. So maybe my perspective on all of this is just tainted because of the Tylenol murders, where I'm just assuming that anything that's this level of contaminated product is done deliberately to cause chaos and harm.
Police will also be investigating the origin of the methamphetamine, and there is a perception that it has been imported into New Zealand. We are aware of 3 people that have sought medical assistance as a result. None are currently in hospital.
The police are currently trying to figure out the origins of the drugs as well as recovering all of them that might still be out there. They've apparently recovered 16 pieces so far, and then it's still unclear how many had been accidentally distributed. It could have been 1 packet containing 20 to 30 individually wrapped pieces, or 2 or 3 packets. They don't know yet, but they're trying to get it all taken as quickly as possible so that way more people don't, you know, fall ill to it. If anyone from New Zealand is watching this, I would advise maybe just avoid the pineapple flavored boiled sweets for a little bit, just to err on the side of caution. You know, I'm not an expert or anything, but it might be better to just be safe, you know? You could probably go a little bit without the pineapple flavored boiled sweets to avoid just eating meth, you know? So, yeah. Hopefully nobody else, you know, gets this contaminated candy. And, yeah, hopefully everyone who has consumed it doesn't face any, like, long-lasting problems or anything from it. That's about it. So, yeah. I just watched an extremely interesting case presented by the Law and Crime Trial Network that I just had to share with all of you because it really feels like the plot line to a late 90s soap opera. It's got an evil wife, and let me tell you, she's a real battle axe, and she's hatched a nefarious plan to poison her husband for life insurance money, allegedly. I hate that I have to use the word here because the overwhelming amount of video evidence and everything makes it very clear that that's what was going on, but apparently you gotta say that word when talking about something like this. But anyway, that's not where the whole story stops because the husband becomes aware of it, but can't act on it right away, so has to continue to play along with the woman that's actively trying to kill him. And then when he eventually takes it to authorities, they initially don't act on it, so then he has to gather even more evidence. It's just so fucking wild, and I just have to show this to all of you. Because this really does feel almost make-believe. It feels like something Darman would write if instead of making, don't judge a book by its cover videos, he made murder mysteries.
A military wife is now charged with attempted first-degree homicide after her husband allegedly caught her on camera pouring bleach into his coffee maker. He says it was all to get life insurance benefits.
It really does make me giggle every time allegedly is thrown out in a case like this where you can actually just watch it happen on the fucking Jumbotron. And especially with this one because the husband was super thorough with all of the hidden cameras he set up. So you can get like a 360-degree video of all the poisoning attempts. You got every goddamn cinematic angle imaginable. And yet still allegedly poisoning attempts. Again, I fully understand why they have to keep saying that word here because she hasn't been found guilty in court yet of all of the charges. But I mean, it's pretty clear. The answer to this game of Clue is Feliciano in the kitchen with the bleach and coffee maker. Like, we can tell.
The man, quote, suspected someone was tampering with his coffee, and in May 2023, while still in Germany, he set up a camera in his house. The husband alleged his wife used bleach as a form of poison, storing the chemical under the sink.
This is one of many videos that capture her pouring bleach into his coffee pot. So he became alert to something a bit off about his coffee and suspected tampering with it. And I imagine he was able to taste something was wrong immediately. Bleach is like one of the most agitating chemicals you can ever fucking ingest. Like, coffee is not going to disguise it. It's not like the perfect Trojan horse to deliver bleach into your system. You'd probably take a single sip and immediately go, pooey, yucko, wow, like, ouch. That doesn't taste like coffee, it tastes like fucking poison. You would have better luck shitting into his coffee pot and hoping he doesn't notice. There's at least a chance coffee can mask poop, but not bleach. Like, even if you have no taste buds, you would probably feel something is wrong with your coffee with bleach being mixed into it. So, immediately, I imagine, he was tipped off that something was very awry here. So he set up the camera. I don't know if he immediately suspected it was his wife. Maybe he thought there was some kind of like burglar coming in to fuck with him and pour bleach into his coffee pot or something. I don't know if he immediately started to point fingers at his wife. I imagine he probably did because, I mean, who the fuck else is going to break in there and pour coffee or pour bleach into the coffee? Unless it's like the Tooth Fairy out for revenge or something. So I don't know how surprised he was to see that, but I still imagine that that was traumatizing to know that the person that you are married to, the person that is the most important person in your life, is actively trying to kill you.
Court documents state that at the time, during May 2023, the husband, quote, stopped drinking the coffee but continued to pretend to drink it as he did not want to make a report of this while in Germany. He said he knew his wife would continue poisoning him and wanted to submit a report while in the US.
This is such an interesting conundrum. So he didn't want to make the report while in Germany and continues to fake drink the coffee, playing a game of pretend here, and then also, I assume, pretending that everything's okay in the marriage between them, even though he knows in the back of his head his fucking wife is trying to kill him. And his wife doesn't know that he knows, so she continues to make attempts to poison him. When I try and picture this situation in my head, I immediately just start thinking about the movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but without, like, the guns. So instead of, like, dumping lead at each other, shooting at each other, it's his wife really insisting on trying the coffee. A new recipe, perhaps. So, and he's just like, oh, this is good, very good, but he knows.
1 month later, in late June, the family returned to the United States and was stationed at an Air Force base in Tucson, Arizona. At that point, additional cameras were set up. Video captures Feliciano Johnson pour something into the coffee pot and look over her shoulder to see if anyone is watching. By early July, her husband reported his findings to the Tucson Police Department.
So this ruse continued for over a month, with the husband pretending to keep drinking the coffee, giving his best Oscar-winning acting performance. Honey, this coffee is so good. Wow, delectable. Rubbing his tummy, all of that. I also can't help but wonder if he tried to, like, mess with her a little bit. Not trying to poison her, obviously, but, like, make her believe that the poison was working. Like, did he start faking a sickness or something? Did he start, making it seem as though he was falling ill in order to see how she'd respond? Like, he just, puts a thermometer in his mouth and he's, like, looking real pale and he's like, oh, babe, I don't know what's going on. I'm not feeling too good. Making a bunch of, like, coughing noises to see how she reacts to it, to try and catch her with, like, joy in her eye that her plan is working. Or if he just simply kept drinking this, or pretending to drink the coffee, and his wife must have thought that he was fucking immortal, just legitimately immune to poison. Which is a pretty scary thought, and pretty concerning considering he lived with her and went through this for over a month now, with someone actively trying to murder him. And if she really thought that bleach had no effect on him, like he was just built different, bleach doesn't work, I just would be worried that she'd try other things that maybe he didn't pick up on, or wouldn't have picked up on if it continued, you know what I mean? But anyway, he gathered all this evidence and then he brought it to the authorities.
Showed the officers at the front desk the video, but since you could not clearly see what she was pouring into the coffee maker, the report was taken with no follow-up. At that point, he purchased additional cameras disguised as fire alarms. He set them up in the laundry room and in the kitchen area where the coffee maker was located.
So it wasn't actionable evidence because they couldn't clearly see what she was pouring into the coffee maker. So the guy says, all right, fuck it, check this out then. You need more? I got you with more. So he sets up a ton of cameras, gets every possible angle here. He's got so many cameras set up, he could probably render his whole house in VR with this kind of setup. So he's got everything covered. Now you can clearly see that she's pouring bleach into the coffee maker in certain videos. And he even goes a step further by conducting his own at-home experiments to confirm his theory.
Normal. It smells. I can smell it. I can smell it. Soapy. Tea. You're gonna see purple. Boom.
Science, bitch. Now we're Breaking Bad here. So he's got even more proof, not only with the video evidence of his wife pouring bleach into his coffee pot, but now he is confirming the presence of the bleach in the coffee pot even after having it drained all day and all of that. Now he has an overwhelming amount of proof against his wife.
Feliciano Johnson was caught on camera multiple times, appearing to pour bleach in the laundry room, walking it into the next room, and then pouring it into the coffee maker. After collecting multiple videos that showed her allegedly pouring the bleach into the machine, Feliciano Johnson was arrested on July 18th.
I'm assuming she did all of this while the husband wasn't home because she is pouring the bleach in the laundry room and walking it to the kitchen, so literally walking through the house with bleach in her hand. If the husband ever saw that, she would immediately know that he would know that something is really fucking foul going on here. Why are you transporting bleach around the house? Like, what could possibly be the excuse, you know? Oh, babe, you're home. It's great to see you. What do you mean, why is the bleach in my hand? Oh, actually, I just wanted you to just take a peek at it real quick. Just tell me, does the bleach smell weird? Splash! You know, like, there's really not a whole lot of wiggle room for an excuse on why you're transporting bleach from the laundry room to the coffee maker. So, again, I assume he just wasn't present for it. But then it makes it really interesting watching the footage here because she keeps looking over her shoulder. So it's an interesting look into the human psyche and kind of just basic human instinct, where when you're doing something fucked up, when you're doing something diabolical, for some reason, you just can't help but double check your surroundings to make sure no one's peeking in on you, even when you're completely alone. Anyway, just something I felt like pointing out. Overall, I'm happy to see the husband didn't get poisoned, and I'm happy to see she got arrested and is now facing these charges here. So hopefully justice will be served. I can't imagine a world where all of this evidence is presented and they're like, inconclusive. It's fine. You're overreacting. You're out of order, Buster. Your wife was just making you some real nice coffee with the extra flavor juice to it. So I imagine she will likely face serious time for this. I mean, it's attempted first-degree homicide, apparently. So, or allegedly, excuse me. So yeah, I just wanted to share this story because I just found it to be super fascinating. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah. You couldn't even begin to imagine how wacky my day's been. I've spent so long researching one of the most useless topics I've ever invested time into. Celebrity drama, but more specifically, Harry Styles and whether or not he actually spit on Chris Pine. I swear to God, I spent more time studying this phenomenon than I did studying for the SATs back in high school. I don't even know why I've been so captivated by it, but I've truly just been drawn into it, and it's not letting me go. It's just strangling me by the neck like Homer Simpson on Bart. I just cannot get a conclusive answer as to whether or not he actually spit on Chris Pine. Let me go ahead and bring all of you up to speed. Harry Styles and Chris Pine are in a movie coming up called Don't Worry Darling, which has a ton of controversy surrounding it with Olivia Wilde and pretty much the entire cast. But I'm not here to focus on that. I'm here to get to the brass tacks, the really important stuff, the conspiracy side. Whether or not Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine at one of their premiere things yesterday. I showed the clip on stream and gave my take on it. I thought it was pretty obvious that he hawked a loogie on him, just treated him like a fucking human spittoon. This is the video that kicked off everything. This is the patient zero of the conspiracy. As you can see, it looked like Harry Styles spit on Chris's lap, and Chris responds with bewilderment and a bit of shock. My initial response to seeing that clip was, wow, this unhinged goofball just spit on Chris Pine for some reason. And that was the end of it. You know, this whole movie has had a really super silly history to it. In fact, the same day Harry Styles did an interview, and when he was asked what his favorite thing about the movie was, his response was, I shit you not, this is verbatim, his response was, I think, you know, my favorite thing about the movie is that it feels like a movie. And then he continued saying, you know, it feels like a real, like, go to the theater film movie. You know, the reason why you go to watch something on the big screen. Now, I can't play the interview clip, so I just had to read the transcript here. The interview's obviously copyrighted. But when you listen to it, it sounds like Harry Styles has been fucking lobotomized. Like, it sounds like he's delivering this answer after he's been hit by a tranquilizer dart and he's about to pass out. I've never listened to him talk. I've seen him in a couple movies and he's always been okay. I don't really have any strong opinions on him. But listening to him speak unscripted is painful. It actually just feels like I wandered into like the most decrepit bar and I'm listening to a drunk man tell stories. It was bad. But anyway, after seeing the spit clip on stream, I said, yeah, it looks like he just spit on him, you know, no questions asked. I washed my hands of it and that was that. I thought nothing more of it. But then it got posted on my second channel, and on Twitter, they weren't super happy. I got a couple tweets talking about how disappointed they are that I called Harry Styles yucky because of the spit clip, but one in particular stood out to me. One of them said, not moist critical calling Harry Styles yucky for a fake spitting clip. And I sat there scratching my head. I said, you buffoon, you fucking imbecile, what do you mean, fake spit? Like, what is fake spit? Like a prop from Party City? Was the saliva acting? Was Chris in on it and the spit wasn't aggressive or disrespectful? It was a publicity stunt? Like, what do you mean, fake spitting incident? Like, I couldn't wrap my head around it because I thought this was a pretty open and shut case because it really does look like Harry Styles purses his lips, fucking lets a loogie rip, and Chris Pine responds by looking down where he was spitting, and he's pretty disgusted or confused by it. So it all seemed to check all the boxes of being legitimately being spit on. I didn't know there was any debate. But even still, I wanted to go a bit further to see, like, is this like a conspiracy? Have I bought into propaganda? Have I been faked out? Was it actually a magic trick? You know, I didn't get it. But Harry Styles fans, whatever they call themselves, stylers, I have no idea, they were adamant that this was fake, manufactured drama and not real. So I dug a bit deeper, and I found an alternate angle, which I also pulled up on stream, that further confirmed my suspicion that this was real spit. I'll go ahead and play that for you. So here we can see the event through a different lens. We got a totally different vantage point here, and I think this one's even clearer because I really feel like I can see spit travel. So then I did what any sensible man would do and slowed down the clip significantly. And I'm not too sure. Like, now I really don't know if it's spit, because there I didn't feel like I could see it as well. When played at full speed, I am convinced that I can see the spit. I see like a little flash leave Harry Styles' mouth and land on Chris Pine's lap. But I don't know anymore if it's my mind playing tricks on me. It's got me questioning everything I thought I knew about the universe, honestly. Because when I slow down the clip, I can no longer see that flash. Unless, of course, Harry Styles can spit faster than the speed of light. Which, you know, it is a possibility, I suppose. But what makes this even more confusing is the statement that came out, like the official statement to explain this away, did nothing to squash this conspiracy. Because if it's not spit, then why did Chris Pine react that way immediately after the spit would have landed on him? You know, like, nothing really checks out, but here's the official explanation. This is a ridiculous story, a complete fabrication, and the result of an odd online illusion that is clearly deceiving and allows for foolish speculation, Pine's rep said in a statement to Variety. Just to be clear, Harry Styles did not spit on Chris Pine. There is nothing but respect between these two men, and any suggestion otherwise is a blatant attempt to create drama that simply does not exist. This is a dog shit response. I'll just go ahead and give Chris Pine's rep a little free advice. In order to, like, actually squash these rumors, you needed to explain what happened. Because clearly something happened. Chris responded to something. There was some stimulus there that Chris looked down and then had, like, a confused moment there, you know? So you needed to explain it, which you didn't. You just called everyone fucking stupid, basically. This is ridiculous, and it's an illusion. Even though it's not an illusion, like, it's a video we can all see, and it's a little fishy that Harry Styles does something weird with his mouth, and Chris Pine responds to it. You didn't explain anything. You just said, you guys are wrong. Source, trust me, bro. Like, that's it. That's not super helpful here. But luckily, Chris Pine's rep might not be smart enough to explain it, but I saw a couple of theories on Twitter that I'm starting to believe as well. So the leading theory and the explanation I'm starting to subscribe to is that Chris Pine was wondering where his sunglasses went, and when he noticed they were sitting on his lap, he was a little embarrassed and felt silly, which is why he gave that response. And that's a mistake we've all made, like we're looking for something that's right in front of us, or we're looking for something that we're holding. You know, like sometimes I've made the mistake of trying to find my phone, and I'll turn the flashlight on my phone while looking for it, and then I feel like such a fucking idiot when I realize, oh, it's in my hand. And then, you know, you have that eureka moment where you feel stupid and you have like that kind of response. And that does actually kind of explain it away, because Chris does grab his sunglasses after noticing them, and he does give that like, oh, I'm so forgetful kind of look, that kind of shit. So maybe it's a case of just perfect timing where Harry Styles did some goofy shit with his mouth that looks like he's spitting, and at the same time, Chris Pine just happened to have noticed the sunglasses he was trying to locate were sitting right in his lap, so he's like, ugh. You know, like, oh, I found them. They were right there. I'm so dumb. That kind of shit. But I'm not 100% certain either way. I've spent so much time rewatching these clips. It's fucking crazy. And I still can't fully decide which I believe. I think it's most likely that he didn't spit on him and it's just his reaction to finding the sunglasses he was looking for. But I also don't think it's impossible that he truly did just spit on Chris. There's been so much drama on this movie. Like, I wouldn't be shocked to learn that these two have animosity between them and he just spit on him just to fucking assert dominance and disrespect him publicly. I think both are equally likely, though I lean a little more towards it just being the sunglass thing. But anyway, just wanted to talk about it since I spent so much time researching it. That's about it. See ya.